Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. You realize your meeting. Could you please make sure that Mrs. King, that we have verified quorum, please?
Okay, Director Williams, not here. Director Critton.
She's outside.
Okay, we have Director Randolph,
She's out. She's standing right
Director Mack.
here.
Director Daniels,
Okay.
Vice Chair Washington, Chair Gardner.
Here. Please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have several presentations tonight. You have 3 presentations on your agenda, but there will be a proclamation read as a 4th item. So the first presentation is December 2024 financial statements.
Evening, board members. As you can see, I provided you the month of December financial statements of all the expenditures, current balances, account balances, and any large transactions that have been done. Any question pertaining to the December financials?
Questions? So we'll go to the next item.
Just, Chair, as a point, starting in February, we're going to be asking this will be a full item to make sure the board approves the financials.
Okay. Our next item is the fiscal year 2024-2025 Orange County CDBG grant presentation.
Yes, what I did was went ahead and provided each board member the grant application, so you can see the scope of work that was being proposed. We anticipate a grant award from Orange County CDBG program, an amount of about $450,000. Give or take a little, we don't know till we get the grant agreement. And just wanted you to have the information to see if you have any questions about how the work program is going to be, how the project is going to move. We have to have this project completed by August 2025.
Are there any questions? The only thing on page 11, it's not, is there another sheet? It's not brought.
It's only going to be career sources and
Yeah.
Broadband is not going to be.
Right. That was a part of this.
Right.
Are there any questions?
I have maybe some questions or maybe some comments. Just a few. Thank you very much. One of the things that I had wanted to ask, and that is, how are we going to fund this project? Once the project is done, I'm talking about personnel step, where the funds are going to be coming in from.
Right. Once the construction project is completed, Career Sources has already indicated of setting up a more of a virtual apparatus setup. Same thing with the incubator program. They'll have the ability to rent a conference room. It's a virtual office for them to have an address, a business address, and a workstation. Basically, they work a workstation. So it's not going to cost us any more staffing dollars to staff the facility at all. Everything's going to be done pretty much virtually.
Then another question is that how did we determine, and you may not really know that because you weren't really here, I understand that, but a study was a study done to assess the needs of the community that we need to get a business incubator, those types of services here in the town.
You're right, I can't speak to what was done to determine what was put in the grant. That was all done prior to the year. I know we did to the point that I want to say the end of this month, the funding is going to be released, and I'm just picking it up and taking it with.
Okay. I think that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Yes.
Question, are we discussing, is the ranking is part of the discussion as well?
It is, but that's a separate city function, procurement function, so that's why it's not.
And just as an aside, I remember, gosh, 2018 or so, that the town was looking to use the old police station building as an incubator of this sort, and they redid that building, if I'm not mistaken. So the idea of bringing an incubator here is not new to the town as a whole.
Did they get started on that? I don't think we were talking about it, I don't think.
It's cleared up.
I
I
don't,
don't
yeah, I
think we
thought
ever
they,
got started.
they never, yeah, because the person's never took, they never, but the idea of it having an incubator is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the idea was
Yeah.
there, but I think the building was in bad repair or needed repair that they didn't. Okay.
All right, is that for that item?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no further question.
Any other questions? All right, so the next item is MHA Architects and Design Eatonville Cultural Entertainment and Event Center.
That's not.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I walked through at the right time, sorry for my tardiness.
And I think you have,
Yes, ma'am, we are.
you have a.
Yes.
That's this one.
Yes. I didn't know you already had that.
This is wait.
This is exciting. Hopefully you all are there to receive a new take on Club Eaton. So this has been 4 or 5 months in the making now. We've had extensive conversations with the State Department, and they've actually come to visit the site a couple of times. So the current state of the building, and so we know our site location here. We'll go from right there, perfect. So the current state of the building is as you see on the screen, right? No roof. Most of the walls have been demolished down to about roughly 13 to 12 feet in overall height. The set of stairs that still remains that goes to currently no second floor. And that bottom left photo is no longer accurate because that entire canopy or mansard situation is no longer present on the building. And as you see, some of the paint is beginning to peel off of the CMU block. After the initial demolition, the emergency demolition, one of the things that was discovered is that none of the block walls have existing rebar and none of the cells are currently poured. So with that being said, this is a historic restoration grant. However, the difficulty with restoring a building in this state is that there's not a whole lot to work off of. That's A. B would be outside, with doing extensive research, we only found a handful of photos that includes even with engaging with individuals who have experience with Club Eaton. So this is a floor plan from roughly the 90s when it became Club Heroes, which would be what everybody would be familiar with right now as the current building state. Is a depiction of this, minus the second floor, of course. Go to the next one. The image that you see to the right of the screen, that is roughly when the building first opened. And so, as you can see, it adorned a ice block trim at the entryway. There's 2 ice block diamond windows on either side of that main entry point. You can barely make out the tip of the one that's behind those bushes there to the left of the door. And then you can tell that it was a flat roof and it has scupper holes at the top for overflow drainage. And you can make out the bar package there to the right. It looks like it has some sort of slope roof. And in the bottom image, that's more reminiscent of what you see today. So you can see that they actually modified the front facade quite a bit by bringing it out. And then they added an additional entry point near the package store. You can still see the package store there. It's been modified a bit there in the bottom or to the right of the building. And at this point, when they extended the building back, it looks like it was extended twice with two different additions. You can make out the points and when the building grew. And you can see they added this gable condition there in the middle, and then there's a smaller gable towards the front of the building. And then it was modified again when it became Club Heroes. So what you're looking at right now on the screen is a conceptual floor plan. So in conversation with individual from CRA as well as the owner, and just getting an understanding of what would make the program of this building the most impactful, right? So this is a live event venue, right? A live event center, as well as what's been called a cultural center. And so we wanted to allow this building to function in various capacities. One, as potentially a cafe or dining space. Two, as a hangout area or a lounge that does incorporate a bar. And then three, a live event space that could host live music, performances, things of that nature. So what the approach that we took, we wanted to maintain the historicity of the package store in the top right corner there. So if you're looking at plan right, we want to revitalize that space. So when you're inside of that building, you can make out some of most of the existing windows that have been blocked in the package store. Specifically, there's that one main window in the front, and then there's actually one on the side of it, which would be the interior lot side of the building. At the bottom side with this plan, there's 6 ice block diamond windows along the side, which you'll see in elevations in a moment. Those have also been blocked in over time, so you can make those out as well. Where we're showing the kitchen, that it was the location of the existing kitchen, at least when they made it into Club Heroes from the floor plan that we can see. So it was sensible to keep that in its same existing location. And we're calling the front area a cafe dining. Now, you'll notice there's a little squiggly line in between these colored blocks. And those squiggly lines are representing what we would like to call operable partitions or walls. We want to make these spaces flexible. So we believe that it would be beneficial if this space could grow or shrink as needed to accommodate whomever will be utilizing the space or whatever will be taking place in the building at that time. So in the middle, we're calling the parlor. We would like to reintroduce the main bar. If you looked at the previous plan, there were 2 different bars where we want to localize and centralize a single bar in the middle. And then the back half would operate as an open live event venue that would have a stage. And then everything towards the top would remain as back of house. So there's currently restrooms in that section there that you're seeing, if you call it golden brown. And so all of the kind of back of house operations would take place there. And then there's an outdoor space that's currently unutilized. So we want to tap into that as well. So that's just to kind of give you guys a breakdown of the programming. Go to the next slide, please. So in understanding and knowing that restoring this entire building with the existing walls, one, not having much structural stability, and 2, it just didn't seem the most practical approach. We looked at other precedents that showed historic buildings being incorporated with new construction. So what you'll notice is there's some instances where new construction is taking place behind the existing facade. At times, there's examples where it's coming through the existing facade or the historic facade of a building and folding itself in with the history of that existing facade. There's some interior examples of where there's new construction that begins to interact with the old building as well. So you can just kind of just take jump around, and all of them kind of speak to that same vernacular of historic stonework, brickworks, concrete work, and then bringing that in tandem with new construction. So, and having that understanding, we wanted to take a similar approach. We thought that that would be the best for this building. At this current state, no more of that building can be demolished, right? If you demolish any more of it, then there's no more Club Eden, and then you might as well start from scratch. So the best way we think that to maintain what is left is to not touch it at all, but instead work around it. And so what we're going to present here in a moment is a new construction of a building on the interior of the existing shell of what's left of Club Eden. And at the same time, that new building is going to speak to and be reminiscent of the history and the some of the conditions that you will recognize from the older photos that we looked at a moment ago. Okay. So these are just some sketch studies here, right? So maintaining the existing facade, how do you create new architecture that works well and speaks to, as I mentioned, the history. So some of the conditions main conditions we're going to pick up. We want to pick up as a gable in the middle. At the front, we want to try to recreate the main facade from the older photo that you see there at the bottom left corner. Obviously, those facades are quite different from one another, right? However, we do have some opportunities to reintroduce an ice block diamond window on the left-hand side. We also have an opportunity to reintroduce ice block trim around the main entry. And we also absolutely have the opportunity to introduce the package store or the package area, the area where the package store was, rather, since we can make out clearly where that window used to be, right? Same on the Southwest Street side, where I mentioned that there's 6 ice block diamond windows. We want to reintroduce all of those as well. So we're doing our best to try to capture as much of the historic moments and reintroduce those as possible that we can make out from what is left of the building. So you go through that. So let's looking at some material studies here. So the main building is CMU. And then there are some stucco panels that were applied to the CMU at some point in time. There's also paint directly applied to the CMU as well. And on this, when there was a second level, there was some wood and a few metal elements as well. There is also a couple of terracotta coping that is at the top of some of the walls, mainly on the new additions towards the rear of the building. And so those are still in existence today. And so looking at that, and we want to keep to the material. So one of the things that historic preservation requires is that you have materials that are work in harmony or complement the historic materials, right? So more CMU, there's existing brick on the front facade. So brick, concrete, ice block, diamond, or ice blocks rather, copper. And so the reason why copper is being brought here, so there is no existing copper in the building. However, the building is beginning to patina. The only way you get patina mostly is from copper runoff. So water will run up from copper. We believe that the stucco panels that were applied to the building at some point had some sort of, whether it's the adhesive that they used to stick it to the building or what, but it made all the block green. So it's all completely patina. We think that that is actually a pretty interesting thing that transpired, and it would probably be nice to expose that. And so we would like to explore introducing a little bit of copper in certain areas of the building, which you'll see here in a moment. You can go to the next one. So this is the front facade. So this is exactly what the front of the building looks like as far as geometry. One of the things that I mentioned reintroducing is ice block diamond window on the front left side. At your main entry where the double doors are, we would like to reintroduce the ice block diamond trim, the ice block trim around that opening. To the right, that door will remain as is. And then we want to reintroduce the window where the package store used to be. And what you're noticing in white behind that would be the beginning of the new construction. right? So that building behind will be pulled away from the facade, so as to not have any bearing on it, to not add any load. And we would also have any roof structure be independent of the new facade as well. So this entire building, and you'll see more of it here in a moment, will be completely independent of the historic building of Club Eden, as to not damage it any further. We'll go to the next one. So this is the southwest street side. So you'll notice we would like to reintroduce all 6 ice block diamond windows. That's that door all the way on the end is the existing door, and so we will maintain that for egress purposes. And then, as you see here, we want to reintroduce the gable in the middle, and then we created a clear story element towards the rear. That obviously allows for light to come into the space, and that would be the space above where the live event venue is, so where performances and things will take place. And you go to the next one. And then this is on the interior lot side. So on the interior lot side, that same gable condition you'll notice, we introduced some glazing, and then we have a copper trim around that opening, and then that goes to an outdoor terrace. So that allows for people to also occupy both the ground floor as well as the second level of the building, and making the entire thing functional. One thing that you don't see in these renderings, because we are exploring exterior work right now, is that we actually put a mezzanine in the center of the space. So right where the gable is, that's where the bar will be located, and then above that will be a mezzanine, which will be a second level, and then that would allow for indoor-outdoor access all up there. And then there will be a balcony that will allow you to look over down to the live event space, so people who are above can also see what's going on down below as well. You'll notice there at the package store, there's a single slope roof, right? So just kind of reintroducing that geometry there, but that also is independent of the structure that makes up the current package store space. One last, I'll go back on one side. One last thing on this elevation, you'll notice that to the rear, right up underneath the second level, there's a garage door. So there is currently a large opening there on the side of the building. That did happen during demolition, and so that we do need to fill that space. So in order to create another moment of indoor-outdoor flow, we figured it'd be nice to add a large overhead door and or a large slider that can open the space or close the space as needed. And then that entire outdoor space becomes functional. You can put chairs out there, seats as well, seats and tables and things of that nature. So that geometry is essentially the overall geometry of what the building will become once it's completed. One of the things that we found interesting, and we would like to create this at the moment. So what it looks like to be a vestibule is essentially what it is, right? But we thought it would be nice to create what we like to call a portal in this case. And the portal will be connecting the history. So that'll be on your right-hand side, the existing exterior facade, to the new building. So you would walk through that. And then inside that space, we figured it'd be nice to be able to put up plaques or paintings, images, things like that, things that speak to the history of Club Eden, people who performed in Club Eden, things like that, of that nature. And then also creating a moment, if we use, depending on what material we use, in this case, we're showing ice block, right, that have some sort of vision. We just showed a tree here for the moment, but that space is actually outside, right? So that's going to be pulled about 6 feet away from the existing facade, creating this gap there. And so in that area, we figured you can put a plaque or a shrine or something that speaks to Club Eden as well. And then you have a similar moment when once you come inside the building, you can then see outside out to that space as well. And it just gives you a moments of just honoring and giving respect to Club Eden and people being able to recognize that at all points in time while they're inside the space. Next one, please. And these are just a couple of perspective shots from different sides of the building. So this would be your the package store side, looking at the interior lot side of the facade. Next one, please. Come up from the front of the building as well. And then last but not least, they're on the southwest street side. And so we introduced also around those window openings, copper frames as well. And so that would just also serve a couple purposes. One purpose is to continue that patinaing of the walls. So in these renderings, we did not patina them, exaggerate the patina. If you see it in real life or you see it from the photos we put up earlier, those walls are completely green. Now, we're still in the early stages of design, but those walls don't have to be exposed if the green is not something that is to the liking of everyone. We could stuck with repaint it with a different color that would be more complementary to what everybody would like to see. But nonetheless, what we would like to do, so those walls that are behind the existing are also going to be pulled at least 6 inches to a foot back. And so it's going to create this gap there. And so one of the ideas we had was bringing that copper all the way through and creating an actual frame in between, and then you can sit things inside of it. So one of the ideas that was mentioned was possibly putting busts of all the different notable performers that came through. So whether it be Aretha Franklin or James Brown or B.B. King, so on and so forth, that each window can have its own particular person that it pays homage to. And I believe that brings us to the end of our presentation.
Alvin, could you just let them know where we're at in the process as far as approvals from the state?
Yes, absolutely. So this is the second iteration of the design. The first one prior to this was very, very similar, with the exception of the interior lot side being a bit more embellished. One of the issues that they had, though, is that we were overwhelming the history or the historicity of the existing building, and we need to be more subordinate to the historicity. So we reduced that second level, actually went all the way down at one point. So we reduced it drastically, and we allowed for the historic building to stand out more. So when they saw that, and then they came and took the walk with us, that was sufficient for them. And so right now we have a preliminary approval of the design, and we're just waiting for a writing and confirmation for us to proceed to the next level step to begin 30% schematic design to actually begin creating our construction documents.
Right, thank you. I was headed in that direction with the question, but now since that has been answered, what is the capacity, facility capacity for that building? For being there, like special events, how many people can that building accommodate?
So we haven't gotten to that stage in the process of the design. Now, I can tell you this is an assembly space. So majority of the spaces are going to be about 15 square feet per person when you do your calculations. So with this building being roughly about just shy of 9,000 square feet on the ground floor, and then with the mezzanine, probably in the outdoor space, adding another couple thousand, about 3,000 square feet or so. We're talking about 11,000 square feet. If you divide it by 15, I can get a rough number. But the thing is, the fire marshal can be interacted with or brought into the discussion, and we can limit whatever the occupancy needs to be suitable for the space, right? So we may end up getting a number that says we can fit 900 people in this space at one time. Now, that space is not going to be suited for 900 people at one time. So we would then say we want to limit it to 150, 200, and then that gets signed up by the fire marshal, and then that goes into record, and that gets plastered on the building somewhere. But yeah, as of right now, we haven't gotten to the stage to start programming the interior. But when we do, that'll help us get a more concrete number.
Thank you.
Board Member Britt.
I have two questions. My first question is, do you have a scale or a drawing of the surrounding areas? Because I see it looks big, and Club Eden is big, but for me, it looks bigger than what I see out there now. And of course, you're gonna be building and et cetera. But as far as the scale, as it relates to the surrounding properties or the surrounding buildings per se, do you have a drawing of that at all?
We don't, but I can provide, we can create one. I will say that the, additional work is, it matches the roughly the height of what that old building, of what that old gable was.
Right.
And then the only real addition that it makes it expand out a little bit is that outdoor terrace portion. And it stays within its property line. It just goes a little bit past where the existing concrete is right now.
Okay.
So I can understand why it does look larger in scale, but sans that, I would say is actually roughly the same size as what it used to.
Thank you. And then my second question is, I haven't seen anything about.
That is also a question for my, that's also a question that we're navigating at the moment. Yes.
Okay, well, I look forward to the progress. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I just want to say I love the building.
Thank you very much.
The windows are my favorite part. Those diamond windows. I like how you have captured as much as you can of the original building and the essence of that. And I just look forward to seeing it. And hopefully work everything else.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you. And finally, item number 4. So one of the, we were talking about the incubator, and when you think about the incubator, we think about business persons that aspire to be their own owners. And sometimes it's difficult to get started, so that's why an incubator to the town is so important. But when you have businesses that have shown how businesses can be successful, then it helps and it makes you want to help others. And with that, I want to congratulate 3D Tire Company, who has been in our town for 40 years. At January 21st, so 40 years and 2 days. So this is a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, Town of Eatonville, Florida, to 3D Tire Company celebrating 40 years of excellence in service. Whereas 3D Tire Company was founded on January 21st, 1985, when I was born, by Ernest Williams, an industry veteran with 40 years of experience in the sales and distribution, taken from the initials of 3 sons. 3D Tire Company set out to establish its presence within the tire industry. And whereas 3D Tire is a company built on faith, dedication, and commitment to service, and the historic town of Eatonville wishes to celebrate the 3D Tire Company for its tireless service and professional dedication to the residents of Eatonville and the many visitors who are loyal customers. And whereas on March 1988, 3D Tire established its first Central Florida retail location in the historic town of Eatonville, offering quality tires and auto services to the surrounding community. And whereas 3D Tire decided to further diversify its operations in 1996 by beginning its commercial tire division in Apopka, Florida, offering fleet and industrial tire services to municipal governments, businesses, and independent operated companies in and around the Central Florida area. And whereas 3D Tire Company remains an industry leader and trusted source for quality business and tire-related services, offering multiple tire brands including Goodyear, Michelin, Bridgestone, Kelly, Cooper, Kumho, and more. And whereas 3D Tires Company continues to pride itself on upholding family values, faith, and the family principles for which it has become known, quality, dedication, and commitment to service. Its motto is, service is first. Whereas January 21st, 2025 marks 40 years of excellence in service with an impeccable reputation in the tire industry as an industry leader, willing to embrace the changes, growth, and need for quality customer service and diversity in offering other tire-related products and services. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Eatonville, Orange County, Florida, along with Mayor Angie Gardner, Vice Mayor Theo Washington, Council members Rodney Daniels, Taurus Mack, and Wanda Randolph, thus hereby recognize and celebrate 3D Tire Company on 40 years of service. We're going to update that. So it is the CRA Board member. Sorry about that. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand Costasville, the town of Eatonville, Florida, to be affixed this 23rd day of January, 2025, Mayor Angie Gardner. And town.
Yeah, you want to get a picture?
Oh, yeah.
I'm one of the seven.
I'm gonna ask if you take a step, 3 steps to your right. So we can do that. Okay, regular steps, not baby steps.
Okay.
Okay, you two can come over a little bit and then we're right in the middle. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right, we're now ready for citizen participation.
We have Joyce R. and you come to the podium. Thank you. Wait, let's keep started. My 3 minutes. So when a woman talks about being violated, often it's not taken seriously as the man talking about being violated. A couple of people said to me, you shouldn't come to the council talking about personal stuff. This is a business issue, and I only wanted to come to clear that up. Give you a copy of some correspondence between me and Mr. Johnson. This is a business issue, and it should be looked at and respected as a business issue. This is not personal. He's sitting right there, he can dispute anything I say, except for what he wrote and what I wrote. It's basically in August of health. In August of 2021 for Founders Day, my group was contracted to do a concert. That was fine. So we came, got rained out the first day, and the agent, Reggie, asked me if we could stay at Mike's request an extra day because he wanted us to stay for the mayor. Okay. And I was like, it's gonna cost me flights and hotels, and half the band has to fly back to Atlanta. And it's not a good look. I don't want to do it with 3 people. And Reggie, the agent, was like, but you're from here. I'm like, okay, well, if you'll enjoy it, we'll stay, we'll do that. And it'll be a bad look, but we'll still do it, whatever. So we had a conversation, Mr. Johnson and I. And I said, when you see what you wrote, it's basically, he said he didn't agree to pay for ground transportation, and he agreed to pay for hotels that he picked. The problem was the hotels kept saying we didn't have rooms. So we got to check out by noon. And you can smile, this isn't funny to me because you still owe me $953. Okay?
Excuse me, Chair.
Wait, let the 3 minutes run out. I'll keep going.
Yeah, you can talk as long as you want to when I'm done. A contract clearly, he said I wasn't paying for no Uber, whatever. It's the contract says buyer agrees to provide ground transportation to and from the hotel and to the sound check and performance. That means he pays for us to come from the airport to the hotel and back, and to the venue and back. It's written down, even though he says he talked to someone who said that wasn't true. I was the person he talked to. And I explained it very clearly. It's really simple. Then I called up, we're supposed to be on stage at 3 o'clock. And the hotel said you can't check in till 3, but we don't have any rooms for you. I asked them 3 times up until noon when we had to get out. So I paid at the Embassy Suites, which was $139 for another night for 3 rooms, because we couldn't get into the hotel he said he paid for. If he paid for it, he could have had somebody check us in and bring me the keys. That's normal. So to say that, anyway, this is business.
Thank you. Is there another person? All right, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and I want to spell out the CRA meeting minute dates. They are for September 19th, 2024, October 3rd and 17th of 2024, as well as December 18th of 2024. With that being clear, is there a motion for the approval?
Madam
of
Chair,
consent
you-
agenda?
you Secretary, you have a
Second with this discussion. We 7 to board decision.
It's discussion.
No, it's in the agenda. I said decision.
The bylaws to the decision.
No, 7.
Seven.
You missing it.
The approval of resolution 2025-3
On the update.
I can't hear.
on the amendment.
There's 2 amended ones.
Can you repeat that, please?
The second amended.
The,
Removing the memorandum of understanding.
for help, CDC,
Right, LTC.
Mm-hmm.
to decision.
Yes,
Moving it to a discussion?
decision.
Decision,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. And, I would like to, I just have a question, but I guess I have to move number 5 to a decision as well. But it's just a simple question. Okay,
All right, so that leaves the approval of the CRA meeting minutes, as well as the approval of resolution CRA 2025-2. Are there any other? With that being said, has been motion. Is there a motion?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Now we're to board decisions, discussion of the resolution CRA 2025-04, CRA bylaws.
Madam Chair, as I sent, out the bylaws with the comparison document, 2 weeks ago. Also included it on the, downstairs, just in case someone did bring it with me. This is a accumulation of the 3 documents that we provided to the former chair, to find them, and therefore I'm asking the board to move forward. I think this has been a long process of trying to disavow those. Wanted to allow the board to discuss, as they asked at the last meeting, any issues that they have and come to some kind of agreement to move forward with. The agency is required to have. So,
All right, so today is for discussion.
it's on discussion and it's one of the last items. So,
It's been added to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
so everybody should have in front of them the dated documents. Mine's in red, but everybody else is. If you want to make reference to them, make some changes.
We open for a discussion period? Okay, thank you. Yes, I would like to say that I know in previous, we had made a request based upon, I think at least 3 bylaws, at least 3 were submitted. But however, when I went through this again and I compared even the last bylaw that we had signed that was executed back in, I think, 2023. They're still very different from what we have in front of us on this resolution 2025 report. So when I went through even the last one is pretty well defined, a little more than what we have in front of us. So when I went through these and did the comparison, there's a lot of things that are just left out. And I just don't think that this is ready yet, because this is almost like a short version. But we have a lot of things in the 2023 that's not even in the 2025, which really should be in there. I noticed that a lot of the articles that we have here for the proposed is very different from what we had in the previous. There's several things that's not in this, like 2.4, this talks about the compensation for board members. It has the operations, 2.7, the principal office location, the town of Eatonville secretary or secretarial duties, 3.5, 3.6, the treasurer. Some of these things are kind of repetitive, but when you do the comparison, it's some of these are a match and some of them just don't match. Some of the other things here that I found out is the where is it? I'll bring it to your attention. Oh yeah, when it comes down to the advisory board, under the new that we have tonight, which is 3.2. If you go to the old one, 2023, it doesn't, it's very different. So there is just a lot of things in here that does not match what we had previously, and it's a lot of things that just left out. My plan, my input on this, I think we just probably just need to look at it again a little bit more carefully. Because I think there's some important issues in here that really needs to be addressed, that's not being addressed. Also, it talks about the supermajority, I believe, in this one. We don't have a supermajority in 2023. You know, those are the type of languages that I'm looking. That's very different from what we had. In fact, it does say here in the 1.9 on the executive director that the supermajority of the board for the termination of the executive director. It doesn't say that in the last one, 2023. So also, as far as meetings are concerned, there's a big difference in the meetings. This one is saying that the board will be given, I think it was, how many days? 3 days for our packets. The other one that we had prior to that says 7 days. So it's not really giving us enough time to do what we need to do to look at the packages before we come to the 3 days, just not enough time. And that was the problem that we had prior to, well, at the time that I came on, back in 2022, just not enough time. So the schedule has already been set up by the town clerk as to when the packages should be in and making it timely when they will go out. But I don't have an issue with when the packages are due to you, it's just to the executive director. It's just when we get the packages, giving us a little bit more time. The quorum is pretty well not really spelled out like it should be. So special meetings. Attorney, have you had a chance to look at this? This one also talks about the independent board, 1.6. And if we go to the 2023, the independent board is not even referencing that whatsoever. So we're just trying to get that right balance as to what we really need for the town, for the CRA. The interlocal agreement is specified in the 2025, but it isn't in the 2023. The 2.3 also talks about, in 2025, talks about the special meetings. The special meetings in the last CRA, 2023. It says that a special meeting can be called by 3 board members and the second director or the chairman may call. And the one that we have now, it just says the executive director and the chair. So I don't know whether or not that will be taking some type of request from the board members if they would like to have a special meeting, or we will contact the executive director to call it. But it says previously, the one that we under now, any 3 of us, either a board member or the council, executive director or the chair can call a special meeting. So none of that has been specified. So I would suggest we probably need to look at these things a little bit more carefully to make sure that everything is accurately in place like it should be. There's a lot of things that are missing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's about 20 articles as a part of the 2023 that's not listed in the 2025. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yes, Board Member Britton.
At the last meeting, I thought it was a collective understanding that this month's meeting was gonna be kind of light, so that we could spend more time talking about the bylaw. So I'm kind of hoping that it's a possibility that we could potentially table it so that we could really spend time. I've received the comparisons from you. I've had an opportunity to take some notes, but I was hoping to have some conversation so that and we have that opportunity to do that here now, but I kind of feel like because we have other items on the agenda that we might belabor this conversation tonight. So, I mean, and this is up to the board or whatnot. If y'all want to chop it up tonight, we can break it down tonight. But I was kind of hoping that we could, the way I looked at it was, I looked at the 3 different ones that we were to choose from. I saw in comparison to one another, which ones I thought would be the best fit. I highlighted those for consideration. And then I was hoping to come tonight to have a conversation about those different articles, as we as individual directors might have had our concerns to kind of square away and be on the same page so that this is not another chop and screw in 6 months. So for me, I'm kind of hoping that it's a possibility to table it, maybe have a special meeting or a special workshop just for this. That way we can really just hammer it out, get it done and get it over it, sooner than later. But if y'all are wanting to kind of resolve it all tonight, I've got a babysitter. But yes, and that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to be as serious as possible. This is look, Mayor Gardner gonna watch the kids if we take too long, but I just want to make sure that we can really just resolve this. And I do know that there are some other things that are on the agenda that we probably want to have a discussion about tonight. So I mean, it's up to the board, but I know that we've constantly circled around this conversation and I'm ready to have it and be done with it.
And if I may, share, my concern is this right here. This is something that we discussed last time, and I told myself and I addressed to this board that we don't want to come here and do what we're doing now. The decision needs to be made because you guys had an opportunity to reach out to the executive and show your concerns if you felt like it was anything that derailed you making a decision tonight. And it seems like some members chose not to even reach out or felt the need to come here and try to address it. That's why I meet with the executive, that's why I meet with the CEO before any meeting. That way I can hash out any issue that I may have before entering this meeting, while we're gonna be where we're at now, at a standstill on making decisions based off of information that we've already had. We got the package. Anything that you've seen that you didn't like or gave you red flags, I think we should address that with the executive director because we get this package like a week prior to the meeting. And I think it's an issue if we either you're not reading it or you're just making an assumption that you'll discuss it when you come to these meetings, which I think is not fair to the people because of the time. And like I said, I like the idea that we have a lengthy, agenda, because I know in previous times we didn't have that, you know what I'm saying? Other than the same executive sitting in that, position that he's sitting in now, but I say that to say this. We had plenty of opportunity to read over anything that we felt like we didn't agree with, to come and have that discussion with Mr. Johnson, and, I know I did. I know that's something that I did, and I think everybody that's here also take the opportunity to do that. That's just my opinion, and like I said, I'm only one person speaking on that, so.
Board Member Daniels.
1.7, the chair, the town council shall appoint a chair and vice chair, other agency for a period not to exceed their term of appointment. Now, are we gonna distinguish that as being in December, or we're saying your term as far as like your 4 years as mayor or 4 years as a council person?
Considered to be, won't extend past when,
December,
the election.
December, right? Because that's what.
That's your normal appointment time.
That's what,
December.
that's in
Town
December,
council function.
right? See, that's
However,
why,
in March is the election. So December would mean that, possibly in March, have to change it over again.
Especially if you have a non-council member that serves as either chair or vice chair, the way we do now. So then it goes back to your point about term and how those terms are dictated by appointment to the board, not necessarily by election to the council.
that's why it should be to me, it should have been a workshop and not just taking notes. We have to come here as a collaborative board and come up with these things so that we can discuss them. For instance, let's go on to 1.9, the supermajority, which is I wouldn't say the major concern, but it goes against, if it doesn't say it in the charter, and I got this, from our attorney, as so long as it doesn't conflict with the charter. For instance, if the hiring or termination of the executive director of the TOCRA is addressed in the charter and calls for only a majority vote, the bylaws should not require more. In addition, so that there should be no issue or disparate treatment. If a supermajority is needed to hire, a supermajority should be needed to fire. And I feel, as our charter, that's how it always is. It's the majority vote. And the majority vote puts a person in, the majority vote takes them out, not a supermajority. We don't have that in our charter. That's number one. Number two is another issue, the special meetings. Special meetings may be called by the chair and executive director in accordance with the Florida statute and CRA policy and procedures. All the special meetings must be held consistent with the CRA policies, procedures, along with Florida statute. Now, this one, which was given to me the day I was elected, was this special meeting, which I like. Special meetings, which must be limited to subject and specified on the agenda, may be called by three or more board members. In our case, it'll be five board members, which is a quorum. The chair or the executive director within the 72 hours. So that's including them, but it's also including this board also is having the authority to call for a meeting. Board members must be noticed to the public. Agendas for the special meeting shall be prepared in accordance with section 561 and 56. These are the issues, not issues, but these are things that we could, table and not table out, but air out and have discussion. And it could be a smooth process with everybody input. And I agree that we need to have a workshop on the bylaws and we talk about them as a board.
Any other questions? I think, forgive me, did we get this in a email? The cross outs, the strike throughs.
Should have been in the first.
It was in our packet. Because this document was new.
It's not really a project.
It's not.
The one, I kind of understood what the concept was, but it wasn't really like a side by side.
This was a strike.
Right, this one was a strike through, this one was a little bit more comparative.
So,
I know you needed a working document.
Yeah.
Yes.
and I think for me, I came here and we talked, so, but I'm not gonna tell you that I read and read and read. I thought that the bylaws that we took the time to work through had started working. And some of the parts of the bylaws that give angst, that we've kind of gotten through that as well. I came here to clarify the majority vote, because I think that is important. It's important because of how we have treated persons that have sat in that position. So we do need a majority vote to remove someone from office so we can stop breaking the flow of the business of the community redevelopment. But looking in the past, there have been times that if we had to go by majority vote to remove someone from office, it would have been a problem in certain instances in the past. So with that, we would need something to protect when clear laws have been broken. And that's why I said in the last meeting that if we take the majority vote to bring you on, majority vote to hire, supermajority to remove. However, in the case that it has been documented, not by board members, but documented by law and by lawyers or courts that laws have been broken, then we don't want to pin ourselves to supermajority votes in those instances, if that makes sense. So in that case, we protect ourselves with supermajority because someone's feelings are hurt. But when there is a reason for someone to be removed by lawyers that agree, and I say CRA lawyer and the town lawyer have to agree on that point, then only in those cases will just the majority vote. And that's how that's what I came to say, but that's how it is. And all the strike throughs, like, oh my gosh, is this a whole nother document that I need to go through?
Keep in mind, all board members, keep in mind, I was provided 3 different documents.
Yes.
What you have before you is the comparison of those 3 documents. It's not me, it's not.
Right.
So the information that's contained in the resolution, the information that's contained in that document, is only for you to have clarity what was the same and what is different. Now, if the board wants to have a special workshop session, a special session to move forward, that the bylaws are not for me, the bylaws is for the board. So you have to decide how you want to proceed, how you want to govern yourselves. There are certain things that are statutory that you cannot get around. Special meetings, the composition of the board, it's certain things you just cannot change because they're statutory. So just keep in mind all those iterations of bylaws that were provided. Some of those things have to be in place and they are consistent no matter what set of bylaws you have. So just keep in mind that, and if you want to workshop it, you guys can roll up your sleeves, come with a final document. It does not bother me at all. I said I was going to put it on the agenda for you guys to consider and discuss, and that's what I did.
Yeah, and I don't think I printed off the newest agenda, so I don't have it here as a decision. Those
It's on, it's number item
15.
Item 14.
14 got moved to 15 and the bylaws decision got put in there.
That one has to stop at 14, so I must have.
Yeah, that's the second one that has.
Yeah, Ms. King emailed it out to.
Yeah, and it was provided at the council meeting to the board.
Yeah, council last night.
Yes.
The bylaws, one quick question I have for the attorney, but the bylaws pretty much going through, from the name all the way down maybe to the members, executive director's duties, vice chair. A lot of that is pretty much self-explanatory the same. I agree to that. It's just like calling the special meetings, the board should be a part of that, not just allowing the chair and executive director to be the only ones to call the special meetings. That was just one example. And if I can get our attorney, his opinion on the supermajority and how it relates to our board and what we got going on with the bylaws, if I may ask.
Supermajority votes or two-thirds votes is what is sometimes referred to are used to address certain or special circumstances for an agency or for an organization. I believe the question I was asked by Board Member Daniels was can the agency have a supermajority vote where the charter does not have a supermajority vote? And so my response was it can, just so long as a supermajority vote does not conflict with the charter. So I haven't compared the two to determine if there's anything that conflicts, because that question was asked us today. But if it does conflict, then that's something that you can't look at. But supermajority votes into the point that that Chair Gardner was saying. Let's say, for instance, if there is a certain or special situation that you want to protect the agency against, you can use a supermajority vote for that purpose. If it's going to impede on someone's rights or something of that nature, which if someone is being accused of doing something, then you may want to employ a supermajority vote to remove them for something of that nature. What I thought I heard Chair Gardner say is that if it is something for cause, and it's a determination made by legal standards, by the attorneys or whoever the case may be, then that can be just a majority vote and not a supermajority vote. But where where you're looking to remove someone for some reason other than cause, it should be, and it impedes upon their rights of employment, then that should be taken by a supermajority vote, if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly. But where it is for cause, then it doesn't have to be supermajority. It can be a majority vote to make sure that it doesn't have to go through that extra step in order to remove someone where there's cause or not.
But the causes would not be by board members. The causes would be
That's how I
all
understood it,
legal.
that it was a determination made by external, I don't want to say external because if you're saying legal for the CRA and the town and or the
They have to
courts.
be in agreement, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Because those kinds of moves affect the town as well as, because the CRA district is town boundaries. So if something like that keeps happening in the CRA, it's affecting the town as well. So to me, both legal minds need to be on one accord with it.
And so if the question is, can supermajority votes be used by the board? The response would be, if the board decides, then yes. The other part of that, though, of what I said is that in order for it to be consistent, if there are any other positions that have to be that are retained by vote of the board, then the same standard should apply to other positions as well. And so that was the other part. So you don't want to single out one position and say, just for this position, it has to be supermajority, but for everybody else, it's not. If it's going to be supermajority to remove or whatever the case may be, it should be across the board and not just for an individual's position. And that would prevent there being any disparate treatment of the various positions of individuals who are appointed by this board to serve.
Attorney also, and not to dispute what anybody said, the CRA is governed by Florida Statute Chapter 163, Part 3, not by the city charter. The city charter is for the government, but the government creates a plan in which this agency is supposed to execute. So I want to make sure we don't confuse the process into.
But and to that point also, but where the statute is silent on certain issues.
Then you refer to the
Right, and I have to look because I haven't looked at this. I don't know what the statute says about the voting procedures of any entity. So I just want to make sure that's.
All right, yes.
Were you done, Director Dan?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I have a statement and a question. My question is for you, Attorney Jackson. I'm hearing the term cost that's being thrown around in this conversation, and I'm hearing the term legal as well. So are we stating that as it relates to this topic, that cost can only be legal?
I think cost, from what I'm hearing, cost should only be determined by legal, is what I'm hearing.
Okay, because my question then becomes, and this is rhetorical, so if you can't, just follow me. My question becomes, if you have not Director Johnson, if you have Director Joe, who is insubordinate or who lacks professionalism or who is not carrying out the duties that are set therein to the bylaws for the executive director. Does that really need to go to legal?
Everything I'm saying is based on our history.
Understood.
So we have had where causes have been displayed. But what you're saying, if it's breaking policy and all of that, then that can, to me, be brought to legal simply to determine, did this break policy? And if it did, it comes to the board to make a decision. And because it came to the board to make a decision based on the fact that any policies or any legal matters have been transgressed, then it's a majority, simple majority vote to remove the person.
Because then my question becomes, because I heard the terms, not brought by board members, and I understand the sentiment. I want you to understand, I do understand the sentiment. However, because we understand that the working relationship is in a capacity between the director and the board, if there is a transgression, or if there is an issue that would lead to cause, I don't have a problem with that going to legal. I just want to know that in my capacity as a director, if I have an issue that is not being resolved as it relates to the duties of the director or any other appointed position by this board, that my voice will matter. I don't want to be cut off as a director from bringing what I might believe to be cause or having that dismissed because I don't have a Juris Doctorate.
And I think that's why, how it gets to the legal.
Right.
Because I don't think legal is going to go, oh, they broke these rules or those rules. But if there is a concern such as yours, then to me, that would be the clearinghouse.
Okay.
Did this break, so that's how I see it. So we stay in the open about what our concerns are, if rules and procedures have been broken, if laws have been broken, but we keep it in the open. And then it's presented to legal. Attorney, in this case, it would be Attorney Jackson states, yay or nay. Then he confers with Attorney Shepherd, and then they either agree or disagree. If they agree, then it's brought and explained to the board, and a decision is made, majority vote. If they disagree, then to me, something hasn't right.
Okay.
And until they agree, then there's nothing clearly that has been transgressed.
I have a follow-up question to that, and I'll let you chime in, Director Washington, before I make my statement. Corrective action as a part of these things. Do we mimic the town's policy in that regard? Is that a part of the conversation at all?
Right now, the CRA is under the human resource
Of town?
policy of town. So I think that all employees fall under that same, unless we address it differently.
Okay.
Yes.
Under the envelope agreement, they call.
Okay.
But the CRA has its own policies and procedures. They've had them since 2010.
Right.
And those policies and procedures deal with employees and corrective action, same as the town policy. That's very consistent with town policy. And presently, the HR person is working with ADP to update both.
Okay.
So that's beneficial.
Thank you. Director Washington, did you want to chime in?
Yep. My main thing is that, we're all the board and we, as a board, direct, executive director, the CRA, where we want you to go. Not me, one person saying, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Cause that's 7 people telling one person, this, then that don't work. I'm mad at him. You mad at him because he didn't do what you want him to do. That's why it's ran by the board. And when it needs something to be done or needs something, bring it to the board and say, we need to have this going on in the CRA department. Instead of saying, he's an individual, he can do what I want him to do. So that's what we need to look at too, steps between that. Us being individual, like we run the CRA, but the board runs the CRA. So let's make sure we have that focus on that part there. So we'll be
What he's saying is, if you have something you want the director to do, you get the board to direct them to do this.
Right, and that's understood. That's not my concern. The cost term is ambiguous at best. And so out of transparency and out of one accord, I'd rather squash it now and we have an understanding as a board so that we can implement and continue that so that this doesn't become an issue. Because that leads me to my statement. And I've said this before, and I hope you guys know that this is an opinion. The need for a supermajority for the reasons that we are discussing them now, for me, is a fundamental flaw. And my concern is that if we decide to implement this now and there's a changing of the guards, what is to keep this from continuing to happen? If we implement now a supermajority, how do we know 2 election cycles from now, the supermajority won't fall on the other side and switch it back? That's why I am concerned that it is not a flaw in the policy or a flaw in the procedure, but a flaw in us.
Yes.
And I'll be the first to say that sitting from both sides of this table, that I have seen it. And it's distasteful. And I feel like we should do this town some justice and be adults. And that if people are doing what they've been asked to do, they should be left to do that. We can feel how we want to feel about it, but we should allow the professionalism and the operations to continue so that, like you said, Chair Gardner, the town isn't affected by it. But I am severely concerned that if we do this now, it's going to replicate itself in the same fashion. I have a serious concern about that.
But I did think about that. And the only other way, and again, I agree, we shouldn't have to go through all this to protect people that are employed by us. But I think it's necessary. But that brought me to my other thing, because the other thing is just revisiting these bylaws. We just took all that time to go through the bylaws and now we're doing it again. And I don't think that's necessary. But because there's nothing here that says we can't, then, so which brought me to, and I'm glad you said that, because I think that there are certain things that we need to use the supermajority to protect. And one of them is in having to revisit these bylaws. So if that is, in thinking that way, if there is a flaw in the bylaws, then 5 people will see it. It can be explained and 5 people will probably agree. So you can easily get a supermajority. If you get 5 people to agree, there's a flaw. But if there is no flaw in the documents, and it's just a matter of someone just not liking something and they want to change it now, then we should protect against that. And there again, the only way you could do that is by supermajority to redo these bylaws, give it a period of time. So bylaws cannot be revisited. How long do we do bylaws? The charter is 7 years, 7 or 8 years, right? So bylaws, I think, should at least be 2, 3 years.
Because we discuss them every year since I've been a board.
And I don't see any reason why bylaws should be
Madam
revisited that often, if they're.
Madam Chair, to your conversation, to board member, Prince's conversation. If you go and look at the resolution on page 5 and 6, that was language in the supermajority bylaws that were given. So that's already incorporated into that. Where to change the bylaws is part of the supermajority. Look at this, page 5 and 6. I just wanted to clarify this.
Could you tell me the page again?
It's page 5 and 6.
5 and 6.
Actually, page 42 in the actual populated.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to use this numbering.
Thank you. 42.
Section 1 at the bottom.
Down at now. Says amendment about.
And for that reason, I think it is okay for us to get a set of bylaws that kind of appeals to everyone. And I think that's where we had gotten to with the last bylaws. You know, it's it's okay for everybody to win a little bit, you know? So for me, because for me, I would not mind, and I don't have that updated agenda. So I did not come prepared to. I have this one, and I have the one from Tuesday night, but it doesn't have decision. So I didn't come to make a decision, that was just discussion
Oh.
tonight.
Well, like, as I said, I mean, we can take it out.
So I'm okay with,
And come back to a special, which section to.
yeah,
To really finish this and have it as a discussion, the board decision. We are going to be anticipating a special meeting.
okay. So I mean, I'm okay with taking it to be a part of another meeting by itself.
So
So is there,
do we want to table it when we get to the item?
Yes.
Or that agenda?
When you get to that, that's the procedure.
No, we're in discussion only.
and you said it's 15.
14.
It's not on my agenda, I'm sorry.
She's gonna get
It's
your copy.
14, and 14 on this is 15, okay. All right,
Is it possible to set a date? Not a date, but to set a timeline. I know that that's something that we have been trying to practice, that if we, I know we're gonna get to the actual decision part where we can have the opportunity to table, but can we just keep in mind a time frame so that we can?
Well, I know we're anticipating. We're gonna be in Orange County. And we got to get all that. Early February, like, especially so February. So we'll to do it in conjunction with that. We'll have a workshop and then we'll go. Put it all out.
I'm sure Ms. King will poll and
Yes.
all of that, but if we can try to put timeline on it.
all right, so
Thank you, everybody.
I apologize.
So when you get to 14, we'll take it.
Okay. So we're now on to the next thing. Oh, we're now ready to move on. Yes. All right, approval of resolution. We're now in board decisions, approval of resolution CRAR 2025-5, the architectural vendor services.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could you go back to the two items that were moved from the consent? Do those two
Oh,
first?
those first, okay. Approval of resolution CRAR 2025-1, authorizing the executive director or designee limited access to the CRA trust account.
Like we read preamble.
Please.
Resolution CRA-R 2025-01, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, Eatonville, Florida Board of Directors authorizing the executive director or designee to have limited access to the CRA trust account for the purpose of obtaining bank records and statements only, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
You've heard the preamble read. Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. You have a question? Oh, okay. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
All right,
Aye. All opposed? The next item, approval of resolution CRAR 2025-3, memorandum of understanding with Help CDC.
Resolution CRA-R 2025-03. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, Eatonville, Florida Board of Directors approving the memorandum of understanding with HELP CDC and authorizing the executive director to establish partnership with community stakeholders, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
For the preamble, is there a motion?
so
Second question.
It's been moved and seconded.
Yes, the last, under the resolution, it was all future, MOUs, and I thought that all future MOUs should come for us before it's agreed upon. That's what I highlighted on mine. I was looking.
That's what we don't.
No, but he's saying all future.
Speaking on you.
Whatever he's gonna do in partnership, we should come before us and let us know.
Help CDC.
And
Everything's
all future, board member. See, can we find it? I had it highlighted.
Section 1, under the resolution.
Establish, it has a, it's two things, you're establishing the Hub CDC, memorandum of understanding. And you're giving me the authority to establish partnerships for other people.
And I'm saying that those partnerships should come for us, so we can know. what to do. Yes.
They would, but I gotta go out and establish.
But no, I thought you were saying that you were big, you're the enemy, that's what I.
No. All agreements and everything.
This will be discussed in the workshop anyway, but there ain't no decision being made.
So it almost sounds like you feel like it's unnecessary.
No, I feel like it's necessary, if you do that, but you wanna.
Right,
hear-
for
so you-
this MOU though.
For this one, he's bringing it forth, I saw that, and all future.
Right, because it does, I mean, and I get that, it does look like, it looks like you're saying, we're giving the authority for you to enter this MOU and any other.
Mhm.
And I understand what you're saying, that they will come before
I
us,
have
but the
no
wording,
authority to enter into contracts and relationships, not the board.
right, however, the wording in
It's
section
giving-
1,
It just given, you can strike out whatever wording that's confusing, but
that's why I was
it
asking.
gives me the
feel like-
ability to establish the partnerships and bring it
Yeah.
back to the board.
So, but, it's not specific to help CDC, it's just in general.
Attention.
Okay, that's not-
We have more stakeholders.
And those MOUs will be
Back to
customized to those.
to the services there.
Are you gonna have? Clarify? All right, so it has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? None. 2025-3 is approved.
Mayor, just for the record, am I changing any language in the resolution to specifically address the issue, or are we accepting the resolution as is? Because if not, then that amendment should have been in the motion.
Yeah, but this a resolution can only be for one thing. This
Yep.
resolution is only understanding with help CDC.
Okay, but the language says of a future.
That's what my point was. My
The-
point
the-
is
the
that
content of the resolution does state more than.
then
And I
just
think-
help
Two
CDC.
things, two things.
Yeah,
First of all,
Johnson said two things.
let's not confuse. All agreements have to be approved by the board, not me. This is authorizing you to go out and establish more stakeholder partnerships and bring those memorandums back to you for approval. I don't have the authority to do anything without the board.
That's why the fact is a memorandum of understanding says it's between them and
But do you need this resolution to go out and do, you wanna do that, that's part of your job anyway, to go out and build relationships and get this thing going and then say, hey, you gotta come, so you don't need us to approve it.
Well, it's in my best interest that the board establishes the relationship and then I work the relationship as you have said, because I may go out and not miss them. You know, but the board job is to do that. So I'll bring all memorandums of understanding back to the board, period. That way we don't have any confusion.
I understand that, and I'm in agreement with that. I think Ms. King's question though is very much about what I was saying, like, do we need to leave and the specific words and future community partnerships?
You can
in
strike out future, all future partnerships have to be established.
and I just.
Right, do we need a separate resolution for that is what I'm asking. I think that's what Ms. King's getting at as well, since we're talking about help CDC. Are we talking about help CDC and help CDC only? Are we talking about help CDC and then the authority that we know that we're gonna give you for those additional relationships in this one resolution?
Yeah, and it's very important that you clarify the intent of the language in a resolution, because resolution is policy.
Right.
And so you may be using it in this instance, but it could be used in another instance because of that language.
If you
So,
want to strike out the term future, somebody offer it then it doesn't matter. I'm gonna write it.
we have to reset the vote and put another motion if we do that, because it wasn't.
Well, let's say my
So
motion,
you just make amendment to the motion. To,
that's what I'm gonna do.
You already voted on it, so you have to amend the vote. Rescind the vote.
Rescinding the vote. So is there a motion to rescind the vote for resolution 2025-3? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye. All opposed? The motion now on the floor is the approval of resolution CRA-R 2025-3, memorandum of understanding to be approved with the amendment of removal of
And
future community
partnerships
partnerships.
to leverage resources. It should just read help CDC for the benefit of the CRA.
To leverage resources for the benefit of the CRA district. You take out the rest of that line. So that is the terminology for the motion. Will someone move it?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right, 2025-3 has been approved with the recommended language update. Approval of resolution CRA-R 2025-5, architectural vendor services.
Chair and board, the town of Edendale Finance Department is up to the procurement process and for the vending, architectural vending services. Specifically for the renovations that's being anticipated by the government. One of the requirements on campus that we procure through the procurement process and do a selection. So by doing that, this is the scoring sheets that were provided to you. Individuals who did the scoring. As you can see, I'm not part of that process. I stayed independent of that process. And the highest ranking vendor drove the route up. That's why the resolution reflects that. Once this,
Ready for me to read?
yes,
Yes.
Okay, resolution CRA-R 2025-05. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, Eatonville, Florida, Board of Directors selecting an architectural vendor. 370 East Kennedy Boulevard renovations per anticipated grant award, Boyd County CDBG grant, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
For the preamble, is there a motion?
Second question.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Board Member Daniels.
Yes. And if Ms. Monday was here, we would have the same conversation because we had a ranking before. And let's take Miss Chua. Y'all gotta help me. Every other person, when it comes down to is it the firm reference? It's either a question mark, 315. Ms. Tamara said, this needs to change. The RFQ had no specific number to provide. And it was one more. Ms. Monday, 5355. Miss Elaine had 15, 15, 15, 20. And does she understand the assignment?
so I had nothing to do with the procurement process. That was the finance department. I had nothing to do with selecting who scored them. They came to me and said, here's the scoring sheets. This is the recommendation. And I took that, bring it to the board to approve their recommendation based on their scoring sheets. I had nothing to do with that process.
Did you look to see, like, did she know? I'm serious. Did she know the assignment? Because what's the name of this firm here? MHA. MHA is the last one on every one.
I
understand what you're saying, but I'm just putting that out. Like we have MJ on a particular project. You hear these guys, every one have them that they're lowest scored. And to be honest, I'm just gonna be honest, I don't think Ms. Chua, Ms. Elaine, I don't think she understood the assignment. I really don't.
That is a discussion that needs to be had on the town side because they conducted the process.
Is it any way we could have gotten, I wouldn't say
I had nothing
professional? I mean, could you make a recommendation that I want somebody that's a math major to help me out on my math project? You see what I'm saying? Wouldn't we want some architectural retirees or something to, create something like this for us.
Well, understand, you establish your procurement policy by policy. The staff is only following the policy in which you created. I stayed completely out of that process. That was something they did and brought to me as once the grant was being turned over to the CRA complete. I stayed out of the process and I'm bringing you forth what they provided to me for you to make a decision. And I have nothing to do.
Board,
And be quite honest with
I
you,
got you.
be quite honest with you, Jordan. I just took the information and put it in the packet because I didn't, it was not my concern. I said, who wants to do it? They told me, I said, okay.
Then we got to trust the process.
That's something you need to address in your procurement.
But in the procurement process, you say you want somebody in staff, but if staff isn't a brain surgeon, we don't get them to, you know what I'm saying?
I agree with you. I agree with you, but let's.
The administration, it's the administration run that process, right? So that's something we need the administration to run that process. I mean, okay,
All procurement in the CRA, all procurement in the town goes through the town's finance.
But when you look at the ranking criteria, this is pretty quantitative. Either you have 10 to 14 years of experience for your 10 points, you don't. Firms references, either you have 10 or more for 20 points, you don't. Firms approach to implementing and managing the project. That might be more subjective, but for 1, 2, for 2 and 3, that's quantitative. Either you do or you don't. And then for experience, for number 5 could be subjective.
Take one for instance, on each sheet. Everybody, it's a question mark, not needed. Here's somebody say a 5, and here's Ms. Lang with 15. You can't,
What's the?
I'm just saying, row 1. You can just look at everyone's score sheet. Miss Tamara, Samara, this needs to change. Here you go with Miss Cheryl Johnson, it's a question mark. Here you go with Miss Monday, there's a 5. See, I would have preferred, and like I said, I don't know how staff would have chosen this, but Miss Samara, what's our planner name? Mr. Cobbin, that would have been a nice, and Mr. Presley. That's 3 right there. You know, Miss Elaine is over in the police department.
Wait, I'm not gonna.
People, they use
Yeah,
the
I'm
people in
not
the
gonna.
department
Let's
to
not
do
call
these things.
I mean, I don't want.
Especially when you the one with the garbage, because I was on with the garbage, and you can get different grades on everything.
You gotta understand.
But if you have the same, we all on the same page, then you like, oh, something wrong. And you see things different.
Board member, not this far different. Not
I'm
from,
just saying, I'm not
15, right? Not from 15 question mark 5, and then this needs to change. I mean, it seems like we all, and we can just go with this process, but I'm just saying this is not. It's not. I don't even have a word for it when it comes down to this rank, because this firm is dead last on every one, and I understand it. But I'm saying we got him doing our major project. He should, according to the rankings, he should have been up there. You know what I mean?
Understand your concern. Okay.
It was just me.
Perhaps we need to make certain as close as possible that we can quantify all of it, all of them. So these questions won't be there. Either it does or it doesn't. So maybe that's something.
Give all of the sheets, give all the sheets down these door, people, and see how different it be.
Oh, you did the right.
I guarantee all of them be different up here because we grade a sheet.
Yeah, so
That's
that.
keep in mind, the process you're talking about is a town process. It's not the CRA.
I got that, but just one more thing. If you're saying football, basketball, and pickleball, I will put a question mark. You are more versed on pickleball than I am. Now we'll be close in football and basketball. Pickleball, you got me. And I would say, well, I don't understand that, or I'll put a question, or I would ask questions. I just wouldn't just put a number. 1 to 10.
You gonna put what you know.
1 to 10, how fun is
You gonna put a
pickleball
number what you know.
if I never played?
But could you put a number on it because you never played? We'll say, 0 or 1 or 2.
And I would say the same thing about this.
See, that's what I'm saying.
They don't know about this, but
But
I
if the
digress.
question was, which has been in existence the longest, 10 points, there you go.
Well, she got
I
15.
think it's because of the experience that's been done within the town also. And no discredit to anybody else, but
So we'll just look at it. We'll look at it. and maybe fix our questions.
For clarity, who moved it?
I think I said it.
Yeah, I got that.
I put the motion on. Well, I should put the motion out.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing this back. All right, approval of resolution 2025.
Did you call for the question?
Oh,
No, I had a question.
all right, so
They said second for the question.
it has been moved and seconded. All in favor, and
Okay.
Where we go?
You all right?
no, my question is, can we take another look at the questions before we vote? So would y'all be okay with?
Good question.
Keep in mind,
It's already been ranked though.
this has to go to the county.
Okay. Okay, that was my question, we don't need time. Yeah, well, I know about that, but I mean, if there's, okay, so all in favor say aye.
Alright.
Aye, all opposed. Next item. So CRA 2025-5 has been approved. Approval of resolution 2025-6, CRA FY 2024-2025 budget amendment.
You ready for the preamble?
Yes.
And that is 06. Seeing 06, so we go to
Fifty-four in our pack.
you have. Y'all have 06 in your packet?
I have page 54.
I got three.
Or it might be one or two off.
On the inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
You gotta.
I just want to make sure it's on the packet. Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't have my tab on. Resolution CRA-R 2025-06, a resolution of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA Board of Directors adopting budget amendment 2 for fiscal year 2024-2025 budget, provided for conflict severability and an effective date.
Madam Chair, item 11 and 12 in the resolution is to be taken out of this resolution.
The revised grant program name.
Well, all those the 11 and 12 need to be taken out. And that money would be placed back into the capital line.
So let's cross that on the budget.
Once you do the resolution, it'll get crossed out.
So the number will change.
It-
Oh, okay.
I have heard the preamble. Is there a motion? You've heard the preamble. I'm
Thank you. Moved already. If they haven't, so moved.
you just read the preamble.
I just read it, yeah, there was not no one moved it or seconded, but when you make the motion,
Make it with the amendment.
be with the amendments,
Right.
removing.
Can y'all,
11 and 12.
I'm sorry, I'm concerned about the last vote. I would like to go on the floor to rescind that last vote.
Oh.
That last vote,
Oh, no.
that resolution 2025-05.
Okay,
So you want me to just approve?
Yes,
she wants to rescind it, okay.
I'm asking
But
for a motion
so you got
to
a deadline, right?
and we can still meet that deadline.
That's pushing it.
So there's a motion on the floor to rescind.
There's a motion on
But this motion, so
We have someone,
Purpose of discussion, go ahead.
The purpose of discussion.
we don't have a second.
Is there a second to rescind the 2025-05?
So say.
With discussion.
The recommendation is that we go with the first. And the recommendation is that we go with the highest bid, the highest ranking. But there's nothing that says we can't go with who we chose or who we choose. And I truly believe that MHA architecture should get this. Get this, it should be the architecture, because this is on that building. Am I right?
No.
This is the incubator.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so before you, I'm sorry, listen. I did. Street saying everything.
Wait, before you do that.
And that's why I could not focus, because my mind was on the second. I was like, is that the Club Eaton? Because I knew it's not section, so we're good. We're good.
Okay, so to your question, because this is the first time that we've
Yes,
done
sorry.
this type of procurement since I've been on the board.
Right.
So this is my introduction to that policy and procedure. So what it's taking me back to is when we as a board made the decision to contract with a local merchant. And we did that because we wanted to support locally. We had our intentions. So I'm not trying to change policy and procedure. This is literally just, maybe y'all can give me some insight. So, because that's my question. If this is a policy and procedure on the town side, and we want to give respect to administration, but there is somebody that we feel might be better suited, because I saw even in the notes that there was talks about community engagement, there was talks about previous projects in the town, all of which I think, and this is not me trying to change policy and procedure, but I'm just asking so that I know what level of authority I have, because in my mind, what I'm thinking is, this is policy, this is procedure, it needs to be followed, it needs to be respected. However, if we have the authority to make suggestions or make changes as a board, I guess that's what I want to know.
Well, you're getting it.
Understood, that's fair, policy and procedure.
Just this. First of all, the board has the authority to choose whoever they want.
Just wanted to be clear.
We are required to follow the town's procurement process. Now, the town did that process and they made their recommendation.
Recommendation.
Right. They made their recommendation. I brought forth the recommendation from that process. You're not obligated in no way to take that recommendation. But you're gonna have to justify.
Right, you have to explain that.
Why you're doing something different, because they've been properly scored and ranked. And if you're gonna have to be able to justify it. Right. Now, my second part I want to do, the town in their procurement process needs to establish a local preference policy. And once they establish that, that gives you a little bit more teeth and flexibility to do it. But that is not in their procurement process today.
That was my concern. My concern was giving respect to the policy and procedure as it is, without overstepping any authoritative bounds that we have as directors. If that's the policy and procedure, then I'm all clear with following that. But like we previously exercised the right and the authority to go with a local preference, then maybe that is a good suggestion that could be brought to the town side that would be incorporated in this policy or procurement procedure to give that flexibility. That's all I wanted to add, because I knew where you were going. I knew you were thinking about Club Eaton and
Yes, I was.
while we're all in there and the backdrop there. And so that's why that's what I asked.
So you think in this presentation and we took it from?
No, I know that there are sections. I know there was like a pre-construction and then it was like sections, and I was thinking, so I'm sorry, I do apologize. So let's get back to where we were.
So just for the record,
Numbers.
the motion to rescind has been rescinded. And we're going back to the last Yeah.
Everything is.
Both as it
Okay.
stood, okay.
Okay, my apologies.
Okay.
So in the new resolution, would you please reread the preamble for resolution CRAR 2025-6?
I'm rereading resolution CRA-R 2025-06. Resolution of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA Board of Directors, adopting budget amendment 2 for fiscal year 2024-2025 budgets, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
With the amendments.
Excuse me,
With,
make sure you mention amendment 11 and 12 being strict.
with 11 and 12, items 11 and 12 being stricken. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. CRA 2025-6 has been approved. Next item, CRA 2025-7, CRA organizational chart. Preamble, please.
Resolution CRA-R 2025-07, a resolution of the Board of Directors, Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, Eatonville, Florida, Board of Directors approving the TOCRA organizational structure for purpose of operation of the agency, providing for conflict, severability, and effective date.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say.
Question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Question. Oh, I'm sorry. Question, board member Randolph and board member Britton.
Yes, on page 60. We'll return to that. I did have a question this evening. I just want to make sure I clarify this in our meeting. The CRA Board of Directors, it has a line pointing upward that the mayor and council. Is that correct?
Yes,
And is correct?
mayor and council is who creates the CRA plan. And they can change it. You can't make changes to it. You can do nothing without councils.
And the executive director doesn't have an arrow pointing.
That was just a type error, but it's a line it's supposed to be.
Okay, just want to make it understood by looking at the chart
Yes.
that the executive director reports to the board.
Great.
Okay. This is about it.
Board member Bennett, amendment,
No. that was-
clarification.
Just a clarification, yes.
My question is about the positions that look new. Okay, so the contractual employees and vendors is what we already have.
All contractual employees and vendors.
Just in general.
Right.
Okay, because. For example, I guess my question was if there was something new, did it have to be posted first?
They will, once you finish doing the whole process.
Okay, because
Some of them gonna be in-house posted and some of them.
I was gonna say if we have, if administration has preference, will they be afforded those opportunities up front?
They will be in-house posted. And they will be-
Okay. I think.
All right, no other questions. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right, next item, CRA R 2025-8, CRA job descriptions for program coordinator.
And then before you read that preamble, I provided you with the fiscal coordinator job description because the one that town had grants / fiscal coordinator. So it could be changed. So I added that to that, so you have active contact job.
Okay, this has program coordinator. This is a different,
Which one you have?
on the agenda it says program coordinator. And it says fiscal coordinator.
Program coordinator.
I provided you all the job descriptions for all the positions
Okay.
that you just approved.
The only one that wasn't in there was fiscal coordinator.
Right.
Program should be on page 65, 66.
Are we ready for the preamble?
Yes.
Resolution CRA R 2025 08, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, COPRA, Eatonville, Florida, Board of Directors, authorizing the job descriptions for the following part-time position of the Executive Assistant, Program Coordinator, Office Assistant, and Fiscal Coordinator, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
All right, you have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
So, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right. Resolution 2025-8 has been approved. Approval of resolution CRA R 2025-9, authorizing invitation to negotiate.
Resolution CRA R 2025 09, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, COPRA, Eatonville, Florida, Board of Directors, authorizing the executive to prepare and advertise an invitation to negotiate for general contracting services for the purpose of establishing a pool vendors for various residential and commercial projects, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Madam Chair, for the purpose of the resolution, it should say pool of vendors. And where it says executive is executive. So that's.
Yeah, that. Mrs. King.
Yes, pool of vendors and executive director.
So you've heard the preamble with those two amendments. Is there a motion?
So, second
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
question.
All right.
On this resolution, okay, this is to create a pool of contractors, like roofing and, okay, all of those. So how are we going to, what means do we have that we're going to advertise and seek contractors and vendors
Once,
as well as minority contractors?
once the invitation to negotiate is drafted, it'll have a criteria and it'll go on. I think you guys use Demand Star as the advertisement platform for those, and that's the usual responses based upon the criteria. And by the way, general contracting is state mandated, so those qualifications.
So that'd be all licensed. Right.
So we have a pool of license.
Mhm. Okay. I just want you to consider minority contractors.
And any selection of those, then the pool to do the project will come back to you.
All right. So it has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Next is item 14. This is the us to table.
We're tabling.
All right, so we are tabling. And then finally, item 15, approval of sponsorship report. 14, you need a motion.
Motion to table, you have to.
All right, is there a motion to table?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of tabling resolution CRA R 2025-4. Signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. All right, so resolution CRA R 2025 has been tabled until further notice. All right, approval of sponsorship requests in support of the 36th annual Zora Festival program.
Madam Chair, Directors. Then one Siri on behalf of the Association for Preserving the Real Community. This sponsorship request directly addresses the final grant, October 25, 1997, Community Development Plan, page 21, goal 3, events. Quote, presently, the town of Eatonville celebrates the Zora Christmas Festival annually. This 4-day cultural event features the visual, written, and performance arts, and uses widely and is sort of the type of widely attended, including nearly 7,000 out-of-region visitors who came to the area and spent over $1 million in the metro area. Orlando area. This event can be promoted and made a cornerstone of events much like Winter Park, Sidewalk, and Winter Park Art Festival, which has regional notoriety. I've asked the Madam Clerk to pass to you from the official guide 2022 to show one of the ways that that CRA supported festival to a partnership that really was only in January. I want to call to your attention that this is a season-long sponsorship, which means that from January to October, as identified in each of the packets, and everyone get a copy of it. Does everyone have in front of them a copy of this, of the one page? I have copies.
It would have been in the second packet. It did not go in the original packet because it was not a part of the original agenda. I can hand it out.
If you want.
This is all you had.
No, I have, oh, I'm sorry.
I need to,
Yes, please.
I have 10 that behind me. I need to correct those. I made 10 copies only. Yeah, I made some 10 copies.
You may have some.
Didn't have that.
So, you got one?
yes.
It's actually page 92, 93. You good?
And so what this sponsorship is across the board, multi-platform. It means that we have tried to identify any number of ways to promote the fact that the Eatonville CRA is supporting special events. And so that is simply what I would say. That's simply what I would say to you. We do still have time, even as it is literally 7 days away. We do have time to implement every one of the things that is here at the end. Right. In addition to the fact that the Red Party, which is a kind of social gathering that reflects the Harlem Renaissance, but the serious thing is that people come into the Zora University National Museum of Fine Art, that the CRA would be identified as a title sponsor. Other than that, I would offer the fact that I think it was in 2021 or 2022, the CRA board actually approved a memorandum of understanding with the Preserve Eatonville community. And one of the facets of that memorandum was looking at leveraging the assets of the DEC and leveraging the CRA. Based on the team that we have been able to build, marketing team, we could actually help CRA and branding historic Eatonville as a cultural heritage destination. And that's what that means when you're talking about through February through September. And then our program team is culminating a season program. That is the detail that supports the sponsorship.
Before the board starts this discussion, we only can fund projects for the 24-25 through September 30th. So just Mr. Theory, your date would have to end in
September 30th.
Right, because of the budget fiscal year. So just for clarification of the board, if you decide to.
I think for, just a quick question, since the last, after the last time you addressed the board,
Yeah.
between that time and now, we've had further conversations about, and this is clarification, it needing to be CRA prefaced.
Right.
So what is the difference here to sponsor the event and sponsoring the first Saturday or Stogies, because we could not do that if it wasn't specifically for CRA. So explain that, because since the last time this was presented to now, we've had that conversation.
Oh, okay. So me and the attorney had this conversation, is that Wednesday, Thursday? Wednesday, and I'm, from the legal standpoint to the board, I'm gonna have him explain that to you.
In terms of, and this has been a big question because a lot of times when things come before the board, we look to try to find language to make it fit inside of the plan. And so if it doesn't specifically state inside of the plan that you can do a certain activity, then technically it should not be done. Now, the board can make whatever decision that it wants in that regard in terms of how it wants to read and view the language. But from the standpoint of doing activities and funding activities, if it's not specifically spelled out in the plan and you can't find the language for it to fit inside of the plan, then it should not be done within those guys.
And additionally, you have to comply with the 23 law change. So it's not an option.
Okay, so we can't.
Because before, with the 23 law that Mr. Johnson's mentioned, and it said before, it had like the catch-all language in there, and it has since removed the catch-all language. We talked about something before, I can't remember the exact issue or project that it came in, but it just so happened it had the language that it did fit in, even given the 2023 change in the law. So if it's not inside of the 2023 law specifically with the language, because it no longer says and or inside of the statutory provision.
I'm close. So
Basically, the law says you can't give money to them.
can or cannot?
Can we specify what that cannot is? Because I feel like we're always referring back to Stogie that Sunset, because that's been one of the only opportunities that we've had to support. So I know that there was the 2010 AG opinion, there was the 2019 AG opinion, but the term marketing has always been thrown in with those types of events. So it wasn't necessarily that we were quote unquote funding a special event, but more so that we were promoting and marketing the agency. I think that there was a tent, there was some promotable literature out there, and that fit into that we had. So when we're talking about a strict grant or a strict donation or a strict financial support to a special event or a festival or something along those lines, then I think that's where we're getting confused because our 97 plan does have Zora in it. So can you?
So first of all, let me say for the record, I support the zero precedent. But what I'm getting ready to tell you is, what are your limitations, right? Your limitations are bound to the 2023 law change. Marketing is not allowed, period, in the 23 law change. No longer can use the term marketing.
Okay, so
In training, the term was education, right? That you use. But in this particular situation, it's not a CRA thing.
So it doesn't have anything to do
With all due respect to Vice Mayor, Stogies was not a CRA event. Should not have happened.
okay, so when you say CRA event, it's an event that puts, it shows what CRA is doing. It educates the people. Give me the parameters that state it's a CRA event.
CRA hosted event.
The CRA hosted, it has to be under the CRA through the auspices.
But in that event, what's happening? People are being informed about CRA.
You have to educate the general public about the district and the activities that are going on in the district.
So then here's my question. In your agenda, your year long, given that the CRA is all of the boundaries of the town, can one of these events be CRA driven?
Without any doubt.
So if you change something and the bulk of it is us informing others about the town CRA and the great things that are happening, then it would then fit in those parameters. Right?
I would do away with sponsor, because that clearly says.
And we can host one of these events.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Executive.
And further, we can try to assist her by getting some of our vendors to be sponsors, to get to your number.
Oh.
And that probably is the cleanest way that we're not violating here, but we're still helping.
How long will that take? Because it's next week.
Well, this is year long, right?
This is year long. So I feel comfortable with trying to do that than asking you to violate the 23 law.
3 months. Okay. Because I see it as a way for us to also build up and present CRA to others that don't know.
Well, if the board would allow me to work with Mr. Cleary, I was getting ready to approach TD Bank anyway, through their sponsorship thing, and we probably could get a lot more.
So let me ask you this, is it possible, would it be appropriate to have the CRA identified in any way in January?
The problem is we cannot do anything that's perceived to be marketing of the agency because it's no longer permitted. So, but we can do education. So we can buy both from you and disseminate CRA information.
So in terms of the education outreach about the agency. I can assure you, we can work with this in any of the ways that it's necessary.
And that's why I'm extending the chance to sit down with vendors to help raise the money.
I don't know what to say, but I don't know what to say. So, like, what kind of time frame? I don't know what,
I'm supposed to be meeting with TD Bank next week, so.
so if that's the case, I don't see January
Yeah, that's not.
being,
The funding is for a year-long
right,
thing,
but
so.
we're seeing the time is short.
As far as festival is concerned, it's
Right.
short,
It's short. For the rest of it,
but the rest of it, we can try to help by helping her with some funding.
so then in February, we get an update in regards to where you are.
Like, space.
The town can do it without any programs.
Yes, that.
Yes, right.
No, I just didn't. No, I just said the town can do it without any program. That means she could bring the same issue back to the town. Get it done. If it's, right, without having to go through our restrictions.
I think it would be better. I think that it actually would be better. The fact that we have a memorandum of understanding, the fact that there is, there's a process. That it really stand the integrity standards.
I agree with you with the memorandum of understanding, but we have no control of the legislature changing the law. And the law is what's prohibiting us.
So in other words, we
Right.
adapted 2023 and we did that.
Right. So that's what's prohibiting us from moving forward. But as I shared with you again, you're trying to fund the season.
Mhm.
And we can work to help leverage relationships to get your ass taken care
Let me ask you about the Zordon-Hurst National Museum of Fine Arts and the Red Party specifically.
Yeah, we haven't had a motion or anything. It's no motion.
of.
It's just discussion.
So y'all not gonna make a decision tonight, it's on the decision.
Yeah,
But I do have a question about, in other words, is the part that talks about the museum and the Red Party, is that something that you could make a decision?
I think you would have to really clarify what that means to the board. Just this right here does not clarify that for the attorney review to make it.
All right. Looking at your language in terms of identifying Eatonville as a. What did I say?
Excuse me, NY. Let's keep in mind, the 97 plan
Is not valid.
is valid part of the process. It's out of date
Gotcha.
as of all the law changes that in the requirements of the plan.
Madam Chair and board members, thank you very much for this time and for the direction in terms of how to go forward. I really appreciate that opportunity.
Right, thank you.
So for the record, because this is a decision item, are we is there a decision to table this?
So we've got a motion to table item 15.
Before we have motion, can I make a request? Can we get a copy of the updated, because I have the older, the 2023, the updated statute?
Yes.
Okay, please, thank you.
All right, so is there a motion to table item 15?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Right, item 15 has been tabled until further.
We discussed 2025-2.
What was that?
That was in the consent agenda.
2025-2.
Yes, it was approved. It was in the consent agenda. We didn't take it out.
Okay.
We took out 5 and 7. All right. Staff report.
I know it's shocking. Stay there. I'm ready to go. I'm so hungry. Yeah, those were.
That is director.
Just real quick,
Okay.
we are gonna be having requested you guys to attend a special session. Once we find out everything. So kind of keep your eyes and ears open to that request, and at that same meeting, we'll be about.
Right, Council, Board Member Williams.
Only thing I have to say is, I'm excited about the new club. Stuff like that.
The correct name is the English.
I'm sorry, the Enville
Yeah,
Culture, what is, Culture Center, what is it? I don't know.
Enville Performing Arts and Cultural Center. I like the name too.
That being said, that's a lot of excitement. I just want us to work, collectively to, not only that, but, look good, but we gotta take care of what's in the front of it and in the back to bring it all together, you know what I mean? So I think that'll be a great thing to focus on. We can work together and make those things come together. That'll be great.
Thank you, Board Member Springs.
I concur with, Vice Chair, Williams, that I'm excited about. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Director Williams, about the, I'm sorry. I'm excited as well about, the center. I'm also excited about the CDBG for the, incubator. I think that goes hand in hand with what we do here and plants a seed for a tree that could potentially grow and be something great for this district. And then Happy New Year.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Board Member Matt.
No report.
Hurry up.
Hey, this is the record, no report.
No report. Randolph.
I want to put congratulations to three. I like to congratulate three tires on they
Yeah.
I've been a long time. 30 years. My Jeeps are antiques. So I bought my first rim from 3 tires. It's still lasting. I do want him to chrome them out, so that's something good. But I bought them like 30 years ago. I think 1980 something. So, and I do get my tires from them. But that's good. I wish we had more businesses in the community we can do that with. I know we lost some restaurants that recently that we couldn't, I hope we could have kept here. We need to open this place up, If people come here, they want to do things. So, imagine growing and have a bakery. She want to probably a bakery to time to eat. We never know, so we just got to be good stewards and show that, hey, try to welcome them the best way we can. That's all I have. Thank you.
Congratulations, and I'll fix that, but I do. David, did that report?
He said no report.
No, we're not coming back. We're not coming back. No report, no report, no report, no report. I do want to say with all sincerity, MAJ has been doing a great job with that club, like their renderings and data. And what I do want to see is if we keep shutting out those with a lot of experience and those trying to come in, then those trying to come in will never get in. So I would like for there to be a push, not push, I mean, within the law that the company that did get the work, that they pull MJ in any way they can to help, because they would have been.
We are the projects, so
Yeah.
just not one.
Yeah, so we definitely keep them.
Yeah, that keeps them in.
We've had multiple conversations.
Okay, great. Great. All right. So with that being said, I move for adjournment. All in, move the second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Nay, we are adjourned and
Exactly, don't leave. I can stop you. So you need to try to get and direct Johnson.